Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, while Bitcoin is still flashing a massive warning signal on the larger timeframes and still rejecting from key resistance in the short term, we're now forming a new pattern in the short term that we need to pay attention to, while more Bitcoin liquidity is building above the current price, pointing towards a possible short squeeze that is building right now. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin chart, and right now Bitcoin is technically still in a larger bull market, so not a lot has changed over the last one day on this chart, and the same can be said about this chart right here, because right now Bitcoin is still potentially repeating history here on the weekly time frame, playing out very similar price action right now to what we saw pretty much exactly 1 year ago, and we're also seeing very similar signals in the weekly Bitcoin MACD to what we saw pretty much exactly 1 year ago. So as I've said recently here on the channel, we saw a bullish crossover around October 2023, just like October this year. And then what came next in the price of Bitcoin from that bullish signal on the weekly time frame was a huge bull run in the price of Bitcoin, a massive bullish move up until around early to mid-December. And then we started to lose bullish momentum in the MACD indicator, just like this year. We saw that last time, and we've seen it again this time. And so what came next last time around 1 year ago was a lot of choppy sideways price action over the next 1 month approximately, up until pretty much the end of January. So that is short-term bearish and short-term bullish price action, just bouncing around sideways, getting ready for that next major bullish move. And then ultimately around the end of January, entering into the start of February, we started that next major move in the price of Bitcoin. But in the short term, we basically saw a major slowdown during the larger bull market. And so at least as of right now, at the time of recording this video, that is still currently happening here in the short term. Technically speaking, yes, we can remain within a larger bull market, but just for the next few weeks or so, I do expect a continued slowdown in the short term, as I've already been saying over the last few weeks. And obviously over the last few weeks, this is exactly what has been playing out as expected already. And so that's still the situation right now on this Bitcoin chart. And if we're taking a look at the 4-day Bitcoin chart right now, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, of course, we still have this massive bearish divergence, which is technically confirmed on the weekly Bitcoin chart, with confirmed higher highs in the price and lower highs confirmed in the weekly Bitcoin RSI. And the last time we saw a massive bearish divergence like this on the weekly time frame was basically at the end of the previous bull market, starting the next major bear market. But between now and then, we also had a very small bearish divergence on the weekly time frame right around here. As we can see, we had very, very slight higher highs in the price right here in the weekly candle closes, and very slight lower highs in the weekly Bitcoin RSI. And what came next was basically a bit of a dump, a pullback in the price of Bitcoin over the next 1 month, 1 to 2 months or so, before eventually a recovery and a continued bull market later on. And so as I've explained in recent videos here on the channel, this signal by itself is not necessarily enough to guarantee that the bull market's over and we're about to start a bear market like last time, because of course last time at the beginning of 2022 and the end of 2021, we saw a lot of other factors also pushing towards this bear market, like for example the Federal Reserve starting to rapidly increase interest rates. That was a major factor pushing the price into a bear market back then. But what this warning signal for Bitcoin does actually mean is that it's still very likely that we're going to at least see a bit of a slowdown in the price of Bitcoin during the bull market, at least for the next few weeks, maybe longer, maybe 1 or 2 months, but at least the next few weeks, I do expect a continued slowdown in the price of Bitcoin. So either a slight correction or just some choppy sideways price action. Once again, a slowdown during the bull market. And so of course, that fits very nicely to what we're seeing on this Bitcoin chart right here in the weekly Bitcoin MACD, showing very similar price action to what happened 1 year ago. So this is very normal price action. Of course, this is what happened 1 year ago. And so for the Bitcoin holders out there, it's important to be patient right now in the short term, because we're obviously in a bit of a boring period in the market, chopping around sideways. But once again, this happens from time to time and will likely continue to happen at least over the next few weeks before we get ready for that next major bullish move, especially if we break out above key resistance like 102,000. That is still potentially acting as strong resistance based on this 1618 Fibonacci extension level at around 102,000. And while we're waiting for that next major move in the price of Bitcoin, definitely make sure you get set up ready to go over on an exchange so that you can actually take advantage of these moves in the price of Bitcoin by placing trades and profiting from these moves in the price of Bitcoin. And personally, I take a lot of trades over on Bitfinex, so make sure to leave a link to Bitfinex below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it will take you to this page right here where you can claim an exclusive deposit bonus that you can only claim using that link. So if you simply just click that link to make your account and then deposit $100 and start trading, you get a $20 bonus. Or if you deposit $500, you get a $100 bonus. Or if you deposit just 1,000 USDT and start trading, you get a $200 bonus straight into your Bitfinex account. But once again, that is only available if you use the link below this video to make your Bitfinex account and start trading on that account. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link below this video. And also, in case you're wondering, Bitfinex is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But for whatever reason, if you don't want Bitfinex, there is also Bybit as another exchange out there, another option that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video. And if you use that link, you can claim a 500 USDT position airdrop, but that is only available if you use the link below this video to make your Bybit account and deposit on that account. But with that being said, taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, and right now this bearish divergence is technically still active on the daily time frame, which I've been talking about over the last 1 to 2 weeks or so, since all the way back around here. And so, like I've been saying since back then, this means we're likely going to see either a short-term pullback or at least some choppy sideways price action as the most likely outcomes, the most common outcomes from a bearish divergence. And obviously, since then, that's exactly what we've seen in the short term as expected. And once again, as I said earlier, I continue to expect this type of price action at least over the next few weeks or so, likely well into January, based on that massive bearish divergence on the weekly time frame. And of course, based on what we saw 1 year ago with this weekly Bitcoin MACD showing very similar signals right now, showing basically a slowdown in the short term for at least the next few weeks. And if we're taking a look at this 12-hour Bitcoin chart, of course, we're still finding a lot of resistance at this previous line of support, now acting as new resistance, and that is currently sitting at just above $100,000. And just recently, that was sitting at just underneath 100,000, as we could see here at this latest rejection. And so we do have a lot of resistance, at least in the short term, at close to 100,000 based on this line right here. And we also have some resistance based on the volume profile indicator sitting in between around 101,000 to 101.5K. And we also have a small amount of resistance right here based on the volume profile indicator in the imminent short term just here in between around 97,000 to 98,000. And in the immediate short term, we're seeing a very small little rejection from that area, at least as I record in this video. But when it comes to important support to watch out for, we do have a lot of support at around 92,500 based on these two previous lows, and also a lot of support in this area based on the volume profile indicator in between around 91,000 to 92,000. So really in between around 91,000 to 92,500, that's the major area of support to watch out for here in the short term if we were to see another short-term rejection or pullback. And below 91 to 92,000, we also have a lot of support based on these previous lows at around 87,000 approximately. And that 87K level is definitely a critical level on the price chart. And if we're zooming further into the short term, looking at the 6-hour time frame, right now the price of Bitcoin is possibly forming a bit of a rising wedge pattern, which could be also basically a bearish pennant pattern, a bearish flag pattern of some sort. And this is also visible on this 12-hour time frame, as we could see a possible bearish flag pattern right here with a flagpole and the price kind of consolidating slightly to the upside, which is one of the most common forms of a bearish flag. But ultimately, we still need to wait for a break of either support or resistance. And then obviously, once we see one of those levels actually break, that will signal the next move in the price of Bitcoin. So of course, if we break out above resistance, that'll be bullish. If we break support, that'll be bearish. For now, we're still waiting for one of those signals to confirm. And in case you're new to all of this, no, I'm not saying Bitcoin's either going to go up or down. I'm saying we have to wait for one of those signals to confirm, and then we can trade no matter what direction the price moves. So if, for example, we confirm a break above resistance, resistance, that could be a short-term signal to open a long position, for example, to trade a little move towards the upside. Or if we first break below support with confirmation, that could potentially be a signal to enter a bit of a short position to trade a move towards the downside. So ultimately, we just have to wait for a signal for an entry into a trade, and then we can take the trade no matter what direction the price goes. And so right now, the support line for this pattern right here is sitting at around 94.7k, and the resistance line for this pattern is sitting at around 99.6k. So ultimately, we need to see at least a candle close above that resistance or below that support in order to confirm a break of one of those levels. And as always, if we confirm a break of one of those levels and then break back to the other side of one of those levels, that invalidates the break of that level and invalidates the pattern. And so those are the immediate levels of support and resistance that I'm currently watching for the price of Bitcoin. And overall, once again, I still continue to expect a bit of a slowdown either way. So whether we break to the downside or to the upside in that immediate pattern right here, I still expect a larger slowdown, at least for the next few weeks, based on these larger patterns right here. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, right now we have a lot of liquidity building above the price of Bitcoin, with a lot of that liquidity sitting at around $100,000, around 100.2k. So right now, that is the area to watch out for here in the short term, because if we break out above 100.2k, then expect potentially a short squeeze, because that would wipe out a bunch of short positions, which can cause buying pressure in the short term, because when a short position closes or gets liquidated, they have to buy back into Bitcoin, which can push the price higher. And so for the bulls out there, 100k is definitely the level to break out above in order to flip at least a little bit more bullish here in the short term, possibly expecting a small short squeeze, not necessarily a major bullish move, but just a small little short squeeze could be likely if we can confirm a breakout above 100k. And other than that level, we have a small amount of liquidity at around 103,000, a small amount at around 106,000, and also a relatively decent amount of liquidity at just above the all-time high at around 108 to 109,000. And we also have a decent amount of liquidity in between around 91.8k to 92.2k. So right at around 92,000, we also have a decent amount of liquidity. And so those are all of the things that I'm watching out for in the short term and the longer term for the price of Bitcoin. And really, the larger time frames are more significant than the smaller time frames. So once again, I do overall expect a bit of a slowdown, at least over the next few weeks here on the larger time frames during the larger bull market, because as of right now, we've not fully confirmed the end of the bull market, despite some of these warning signals actually confirming. And once again, if you want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, check out those links below this video to claim those extra bonuses over on those exchanges. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, you can profit from all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.